So I'd like to call the Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Greg, would you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lynn, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Lack? Mr. Zilli? Mr. Feckety?
Here.
Mr. Munt? Mayor Lynch?
Here.
Dr. Finley?
So we have the approval of the minutes. Let's start with the May 28th minutes.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have the minutes from the June 11th special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have the payment of claims from June 2020. Did everybody get a chance to look at those claims?
Yes.
Yes. This is my first time to really look at claims, since I have missed so many meetings. And I just was curious. The 3 claims that pertain to holiday properties. Exactly what are we paying for? And we pay this to them for maintenance, and where are these properties at? Does that have to do with these apartments or what?
No, it's the NERC building out there
Okay.
on Southport Road, right, AJ?
Okay.
And that's for them to manage that building and to have maintenance come and keep it clean and for keeping the grass mowed and the landscaping.
And is this a monthly amount that we're paying? Every
Yes.
month we pay that?
The $833 is a standard amount. The maintenance and mowing and or snow removal, that changes, of course, with the need.
I just wasn't sure what they were looking out for us. Okay.
So if you look up here, Bill, it says NERC Forum.
Okay.
That's the
it.
building out there on Southport Road,
Okay.
where NERC has her offices in the
Okay.
Forum.
Very good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Lynn, call the roll on claims, please.
Mr. Lack?
Yes.
Mr. Feckety?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to staff reports. Staff. Lynn? Lynn, do you have a report? Your staff.
No. You see all my stuff.
So we interviewed architects earlier this week for the City Hall remodel. The committee has met. We're in final deliberations. We'll be making an announcement on June 29th, notifying the architect who was selected. I'd like to thank Bill and Greg for your service on the selection committee. Hope you found it valuable and an interesting experience. We'll be then, Dan, working with you on a contract with every intention to be back before this commission next month with a contract and recommendation of the selection committee to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in that.
Yeah, Katie did a great job coordinating everything and guiding us through the process.
Okay. And you had a lot of questions for them, Neil?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Full-
Well, that's
full thought.
good. That's good.
I'm going to share this with you. So, all my years on the various boards I served on, that was my first experience in dealing with hearing these people out to what they have to offer to do work for us. And so, I wasn't sure what kind of stand, I'm going to listen to them. But I know that in the past I heard talk about, well, if we could move it down into the fire station, it'll resolve our handicap accessible problem, okay? And then when we paid our utility bill across the street, and I'm speaking only now for the elderly folks, where they can pull up to the building and pay it, they get a receipt back. And like I told them, when you get old, you look for the payment notice, okay? And then when you get it, now you want a receipt to remind you that, hey, you did pay for it, okay? But so that's what I mainly try to do. I try to make sure that they were taking care of us. I don't know, I know you're much younger than I am, but us elderly folks, older folks.
I think it's nice, it's on the lower level,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's right there, the building is right there. So I'm hoping that we can ultimately get that done.
Yeah.
And when I came on as mayor, I did tell AJ that, as a council person for 12 years, it always distressed me that we had to find a home to have a meeting. We have to come over here, we should have a home to have all of our meetings.
I also share with them that myself, I'm not looking for a showcase.
Right?
I'm looking for a building that will provide a safety, healthy working environment for our employees, as well as the community coming in to do business with the city.
Mhm.
See, I haven't forgot it yet.
Well, thank you for participating, because I think it's really important
I
that
enjoy-
when you're voting on things, that you get a chance to participate
yeah.
in the whole process. So that was really good, and thank you very much. Do you have any more things to bring up, AJ?
I'll have a little bit more of a report regarding Garrettson School when we get to that item as new business. So I'll kind of want to talk about all of Garrettson there. Other than that, I would report. I should do this now. Several years ago, the city of Portage sponsored a Army Corps of Engineers grant, the Section 125, the Ecosystem Restoration Project. That would have been the area south of Lakefront Park. That was included the demo of the warehouse, the restoration work, the bank project north of 12 there, where we relaxed the banks of Burns Waterway. It also included a project down on what used to be the old Portage Yacht Club property that became Portage Northside Business Park, and every other iteration since. And so there was a project there. So that project was started. We entered a project participation agreement with the Army back in 2013. Project started in 14 and 15, and we're at the point in time when the project is going to be turned over to the city of Portage for the responsibility of inspection and maintenance of the ecological restoration project. So I have a binder here that was sent to me by the federal government that outlines our ongoing responsibilities for operation and maintenance of those locations. So I am going to need a little bit of time to digest this to determine what our next steps are. But as we look out into future budgeting sessions, this will be something that is going to be appearing in future your redevelopment commission budgets in some line somewhere in the 406 budget in future years. So I received this yesterday and want you to know that we'll be reading this, having some additional conversations with the Army Corps of Engineers, their project leadership team to finalize the transition, And then this is something that the city of Portage in the years to come will have to budget for and enter some contracts with to get people to assist with this work.
If you haven't sent it, can I get a copy?
Absolutely.
Was that it for now?
That's it related to that. And then I guess if there's any questions at this point.
So did we start budgeting for that in the 2021 budget?
Yes.
When do you think the turnover will take place?
Very, very soon. Very, very soon. Probably within the next month, we'll have those meetings, really understand, but it's soon.
Okay.
So the last inspection would have been, per what I read here, would have been the spring of this year. So there's likely a fall inspection, but to the question of budgeting, we is later on the agenda. We talk about amending some of the items in the budget. So I'm seeking some additional direction and guidance from the Corps of Engineers as to maybe some recommendations on how other jurisdictions may move forward when they take over the responsibilities in terms of past experiences, possible contractors they work with, because there's some detail in here, but again, the project was delivered to the city in good care, and because the project did as well as it did, if we do a very good job of inspecting and being ahead of invasive species and things like that, the true cost of it probably won't be that expensive or expansive. I think it really would come down to if we fail to execute the recommendations in this manual that we could find ourselves in jeopardy in future years as a community.
So I'm sure that AJ would be happy to share that report with you guys if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have one of his staff members copy it for you, because I think it'd be good. Greg, I know that you've been involved in that for a long time, for being on the redevelopment, and I am the council, so yeah. Okay. So we have staff reports, and Dan is one of our staff people, and I do want him to update you on a couple of things. Can you update them on Catalyst at all?
Yeah, I can, Mayor.
The sport resort issue?
So as we could spend the rest of this evening talking about the rabbit hole that Catalyst has taken us down, the many different pieces of litigation that have resulted, and multiple bankruptcy filings that were filed by various players involved with the Catalyst that have delayed everything, actually. But in coming into this position and trying to make sense of all that had happened, it was kind of astounding. But we currently, as we sit here, we have a pending foreclosure action because nothing's been happening, and including getting paid by the Catalyst folks. That's been delayed by all those other things that I just mentioned, the bankruptcies, the inner fighting. So I was trying to get a hearing set on our foreclosure so that we could move that piece across the board a little bit. COVID came, delayed that. We now have a hearing set for November on that. In the meantime, which is way out, that's crazy out, it's shockingly out, but that's what we've got. So in the meantime, through the not so much litigation involving us, and irrespective of the foreclosure action, the partners at Catalyst were fighting. A court-ordered receiver was appointed by the court to sort of take control and authority over the Catalyst holdings, which, as it turns out, is just this. So they have no other holdings. I've been in communication with the receiver that has the authority to sell the property. He doesn't at this time have anybody interested particularly, but he's prone to market it and to see what he can do. Now they can sell that. It's up until a sheriff sale, or if we were to get it back at sheriff sale, they have the authority to sell it subject to our consent and approval. I mean, so there's all kinds of other things, and I've met with AJ, I've met with the mayor, that play into that. Like, we're not gonna sell it to somebody that wants to put in, for example, a gentleman's club, because that's not gonna fit within our zoning. And, you know, so that has to play into this. It has to be a developer that's got an idea. Everything Catalyst is pretty much expired, as I'm understanding, so they'd be starting from ground zero. So I'll keep you guys posted as we move. But I hope to get a marketing plan from the receiver either tomorrow or Monday. You see, we have it to me, to kind of see what his vision at least is for marketing this this property. All during the last 6 months, there have been a series of folks that have reached out interested in perhaps talking about doing something or some sort of purchase. None of those have come to fruition. I think AJ could attest to that. There were a lot of promises about sending over offers and plans and agreements, and none of that stuff is there, right? It's all been just sort of pie in the sky stuff at this point. So my thought is that we just continue to plow forward, and if something comes up that's just magnanimous, can't pass it up, you know, developer that comes in is going to give us a really good deal and a wonderful development that the board is interested in, you guys can entertain it. But I think we've waited probably long enough on property that's just not doing anything. So if they come up with something before November, great. If not, I intend to go forward with the hearing.
Will it be up for the sheriff's sale in the fall?
You know, probably not. I hoped at the beginning of this year that we could have it in a perfect world, which this world has turned out to be anything but perfect. My initial estimate when I was asked that question, I think by the mayor, I was thinking, wow,